Have you ever had the strange feeling that time is passing too quickly? Or too slow? Have you ever felt out of place in places where you used to feel at home, or felt a sudden urge to change everything, without understanding why? That's right, maybe you're not going crazy, maybe you're waking up. Yes, awakening spiritually, and the most curious thing is that the real signs of this are very different from what you see out there. It has nothing to do with becoming a monk or hugging a tree, although, if you want, it's free. Few people talk about the deepest energetic symptoms of this process, that strange sensation in the body without medical explanation, the sudden interest in spiritual matters, the change of consciousness that comes as if it wants nothing, but transforms everything. And you know what's crazier? All of this may be happening to you right now, as you read this text. The truth is that there is an invisible movement guiding these internal transformations, and it carries clear messages. Signs of the universe, encounters that seem like coincidence, but that change the course of your life, an intuition that begins to scream when it whispered before. All of this points to something that goes beyond logic and old explanations. But no one has told you what really goes on behind the scenes of this awakening. And that's exactly what you'll discover here, the less obvious, truer, more profound signs. Get ready, because if you keep watching, you won't leave the same from where you entered. Some people don't even realize it at first, but suddenly that show they loved loses its luster, that circle of friends seems a little out of tune, and what was once comfortable starts to feel cramped, like a shoe that no longer fits. This is not freshness or boredom, it is a clear sign of spiritual awakening. The heart begins to ask for silence, the body desires more nature, and thought questions everything that once seemed right. It is as if the soul begins to adjust the antenna to capture a new vibrational frequency. As the person dives into this internal movement, curious symptoms arise, a certain urgency for change, feelings of emptiness without explanation, even a slight aversion to superficial environments or conversations. These are energetic symptoms, showing that there is a shift in consciousness underway. Something inside her is asking for more truth, more connection, more meaning. It is common to feel like donating clothes, moving to another city, or even re-evaluating relationships. All of this is part of the inner transformation. In the midst of this silent chaos, a curious perception of time emerges. It accelerates, escapes, and the days pass as if they were seconds. Moments that were once long now feel like a breath. This is a reflection of the perception of time being affected by the new energy that is installed. The person begins to align with the flow of the universe, and linear time no longer seems to be able to explain everything. It is as if the now becomes more important than any plan for 5 years from now. At this point, many begin to look for answers. It is not uncommon for them to feel called to practices such as meditation, reading books such as The Power of Now, or the documentary Heal. This call comes from the soul, which wants to find its center again and recognize the signs of the universe. It is an invitation to presence in the now, where everything begins to make sense effortlessly. A good practice is to start the day with 5 minutes of mindful breathing. It seems little, but the difference is profound. And as this inner reconnection progresses, a new world begins to emerge outside. What was once invisible, now shines. What once seemed ordinary, now turns out to be magical. Small gestures, words, and encounters begin to have another weight. And that, my friend, is just the beginning. Because when the weather seems to dance differently, it is a sign that your raising of vibration is just beginning to manifest. It's curious how, all of a sudden, the clock seems to lose power over our routine. The person looks and swears that 10 minutes have passed, but 2 hours have passed. Or else, intense days seem to have happened in the blink of an eye. This change in the perception of time is not random, it reflects the fine-tuning between individual energy and the natural rhythm of the universe. When there is presence in the now, time is shaped differently. He stops being a tyrant and becomes an ally. This phenomenon happens because, during spiritual awakening, the mind begins to move out of obsessive control over the past and future. The person enters a more fluid state, where they live the present with intensity. This shift in consciousness deconstructs the old notion of time as something linear. Instead of wasting time, she begins to live time. That's why simple practices, such as walking outdoors or listening to music consciously, seem to last longer and become more meaningful. Many notice that their internal schedules change. They feel like going to bed earlier, waking up with the sunrise, or even working better outside the conventional standards. This is linked to the vibrational frequency that adjusts with more natural cycles. An example: swapping out the loud alarm clock for waking up to natural light or soothing sounds. This reduces stress and aligns the body with a more organic rhythm. These small actions help keep energy high and balanced. In the midst of all this, there are also moments when everything seems to stop. Like a conversation with someone that lasts for hours and seems to have taken only minutes. This happens because the energy between people enters into spiritual connection, creating a field where conventional time is diluted. At these times, the famous synchronicities arise, events that cannot be explained by logic, but that carry important messages. They are clues that the journey is on the right track. And as this dance between time and consciousness intensifies, one begins to realize that there is something greater orchestrating it all. As if life were talking to her, using seconds, minutes and hours as subtle signals. And, at this different pace, she begins to see the world with different eyes. Something magical begins to happen when the vibrational frequency rises. The world around it gains color, sound, and texture like never before. That tree on the corner, which has always been there, suddenly seems more alive. The singing of birds sounds like background music in a movie. This is not an exaggeration, it is refined energy perception. The inner transformation sharpens the senses, and what was normal becomes an intense, almost spiritual experience. It is as if the veil of distraction has been lifted from the eyes. This new way of perceiving is a direct reflection of the energetic cleansing that the body and mind are going through. Many report that smells get stronger, flavors more defined, and even the light seems brighter. This happens because the person is connecting with life in a more present way. A powerful exercise here is to walk barefoot on the grass, to pay attention to every step, every leaf, every breath of wind. It is simple, but it raises energy and creates a deep state of self-knowledge. In addition, sensitivity to environments and people intensifies. Places that once seemed pleasant now bother you, while others cause an inexplicable peace. This happens because the person begins to feel the vibrational frequency of spaces. A good tip is to observe how you feel after leaving certain places, lightness or weight. This says a lot about your intuition and what your soul is trying to show. The body becomes a radar of signals from the universe. Another fascinating aspect is how art transforms. A song can provoke tears, a film, chilling the skin, a simple painting, opening portals of reflection. This intensity is a reflection of the elevation of vibration, where everything gains a much richer emotional and energetic dimension. Want a practical suggestion? Try listening to 432 Hz or 528 Hz music during moments of rest. They help to tune into the energy field and broaden the perception of the now. As this connection to the world around them intensifies, the person begins to realize that everything, absolutely everything, is speaking to them. The nature, the sounds, even the colors of the clothes of the people on the street. There are hidden messages everywhere. And those who are aware of this, soon begin to hear a new voice within themselves. Suddenly, something inside the person starts speaking louder than any external advice. It is that inner voice that warns, go this way, even if everything points the other way. This is intuition awakening with force. This is not divination or magic, but a sophisticated form of spiritual connection, where the soul begins to take the helm. And believe me, when you learn to listen to this voice, choices flow, mistakes decrease, and life gains more direction. This deep intuition is one of the most precious gifts of spiritual awakening. And it manifests itself in subtle ways, a discomfort when thinking about someone, an inexplicable desire to change paths, a feeling of alertness for no apparent reason. All these are signs from the universe, trying to guide us with delicacy. To strengthen this listening, it is worth practicing internal dialogue, writing down what you are feeling, asking yourself questions and observing the answers that come from within, without logic, but with truth. Many people are surprised to notice that, even before someone says something, they already know what is coming. Or you feel when someone is lying, even with a smile on your face. These are energetic symptoms of the elevation of vibration. The person begins to perceive invisible layers of reality. A good example of this is when you feel an immediate connection with someone you have just met. This is not chance, it is synchronicity. The energy between you is already known before the body. A powerful practice for fine-tuning this perception is heart-focused meditation. Just sit quietly, close your eyes, and bring your attention to the center of your chest, breathing deeply. In a few minutes, the mind quiets down and the inner wisdom begins to speak. Books such as The Code of Being by Greg Braden or The Courage to Be Yourself by Jacques Salome also help to decipher this subtle language of the soul, which reason does not yet understand, but the heart understands clearly. In time, a person comes to rely more on this invisible wisdom. She realizes that everything she needs to know is already inside her, just waiting to be heard. And this inner confidence becomes the true north in a world that is always trying to distract us. When the vibrational frequency begins to change, the people who come along the path also change. It is impressive how, suddenly, unexpected encounters take on a deep meaning. A conversation in line at the grocery store, an old friend who resurfaces out of nowhere, or a stranger who tells you exactly what you need to hear. These are not simple coincidences, they are synchronicities organized by the energy of the universe, which moves to align what is necessary for our growth. These energetic coincidences are clear signs that the soul is guiding the encounters. The person begins to notice patterns, different people bringing the same message, books and videos that come up repeatedly, dreams with similar meanings. They are subtle messages that indicate, pay attention. When these encounters happen, it's worth stopping, taking a deep breath, and asking yourself, what is the universe trying to show me here? This is a powerful way to stay connected with your own intuition. It is also common for some old relationships to dissolve, while others gain intensity. Sometimes, the person feels an immediate connection with someone they have just met, as if they have already met that soul before. This kind of spiritual connection goes beyond logic and time, it is pure recognition of vibration. A good exercise to deal with these changes is to write letters, even if you don't send them, to say goodbye to those who are left in the past and make room for energy for the new cycles. These connections are transformative. Sometimes, a single sentence spoken by someone can provoke an intense inner transformation. A mentor who emerges, a journey partner who inspires, or even a stranger who awakens something that was dormant. The secret is to be open. Instead of controlling who enters or leaves their life, the person begins to observe the encounters with curiosity. Because the more open it is, the more the universe can act, and bring the right signals at the right time. And in the midst of this tangle of meetings and goodbyes, something bigger begins to happen, the feeling that nothing, absolutely nothing, is by chance. Each person, each exchange, carries a subtle mission, and many times, it is not even necessary to understand, it is enough to feel. Because, sometimes, it is in the other that we find pieces of ourselves that we had not yet recognized. One day, without warning, the person finds himself emotional looking at the sky, or feels immense peace just by leaning against a tree. These moments, apparently simple, are symptoms of spiritual awakening. It's as if something deep begins to vibrate inside her, an ancient reminder of who she really is. That kind of sensitivity isn't weakness, it's expansion. The person begins to realize that they are connected to everything, to nature, to animals, to the cycles of life, and this spiritual connection transforms everything around them. This sensitivity also extends to the environments. Places that once seemed neutral now carry a noticeable energetic charge. A heavy space can cause a headache, while a light environment seems to embrace the soul. This is a direct reflection of the elevation of vibration, where the body acts as a radar, picking up invisible but powerful energy. A helpful tip is to use crystals such as selenite or black tourmaline to help keep the energy field protected and balanced. Many people also report physical sensations with no apparent cause, chills, tingling, mood swings, and even changes in appetite. These are energetic symptoms that show that the body is adapting to a new vibrational frequency. It's like updating internal software. In these phases, it is essential to hydrate well, sleep more regularly, and include gentle practices such as yoga or Reiki. This helps to integrate the new energy more lightly. The perception of the world changes profoundly. Sounds, colors, and even words start to play differently. Ordinary music can elicit tears, while simple silence becomes full of meaning. The presence in the now intensifies, and the person begins to understand that every moment is an opportunity for healing and growth. Practices such as mindfulness or journaling, conscious writing, are great allies in this moment of deep self-knowledge. And when everything seems to be spinning faster, emotions on the surface, intense thoughts, vivid dreams, it is because the soul is asking for passage. The person is being gently pushed into a new state of consciousness. And it is in this silent whirlwind that the real journey begins. Because when the signs become impossible to ignore, it is a sign that something great is about to emerge. Now tell me, after all this, will you continue to ignore the signs? Will you continue to think that it's just tiredness, coincidence, or something in your head? Or is it time to assume that there's something bigger going on in and around you? Because what you feel is not illusion. It's your soul calling. It is inner transformation knocking on the door. Have you ever noticed how life has started to push you down certain paths? How did some people disappear and others appear almost magically? Have you ever noticed that your perception of time is no longer the same, and that your body responds differently to certain places, words, or music? You can't ignore it anymore. Your vibrational frequency is changing, and with it, your reality. So, the question that remains is, will you take the next step, or will you continue to try to fit into a mold that no longer fits? Will it really be heard? Will you trust your intuition and follow the signs of the universe that are everywhere, even if no one else understands? The choice is yours, but I assure you, whoever chooses to wake up, never goes back to sleep in the same way. And if this content moved you, if it awakened something inside you, then you already know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share this video with those you feel are also on this journey. Because yes, awakening is individual. But walking this path together is much more powerful.